Welcome in, everybody. This is Neil's Meals. Hold on just a moment, because I don't think I have my camera pushed back as far as usual. So, just let me move it a little bit back. Thank you. Sorry, I just looked too, I looked too big on screen. And, you know, they always say the camera adds 10 pounds. This is Neil's Meals. Here's where I try to make things a little easier for people, try to learn something, try to cook something maybe you haven't done. Tonight, we're having breakfast for dinner, which will be biscuits and sausage gravy. And I think what we'll start with probably is... Oh, thank you, Jay Fries. You must have been in all of them. 15 streams. I'm not even sure how many I've done. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Shipwreck. I think... I'm trying to think about how I will do this. This isn't something I have written down like I usually do. So, it's a little more of me off the seat of my pants. Let's see. What does the oven have to be at? 475. So we'll preheat the oven to 475 degrees. So we start the oven heating. The microwave is actually a Frigidaire gallery. I bought it because the stainless steel was supposed to be fingerprint resistant. I'm kind of wishing I bought that on the rest of the appliances. And I also bought it because this particular vent hood has a carbon filter in it. Whereas most of them would just recirculate air through the back of the microwave. And if I can't have it venting to outside, I at least want it to, yes, the charcoal filter. I at least want it to be running through some kind of filter. All right. The other thing I'm going to do here is, I'll put this pan on the heat. And this is just a heavy skillet. I'm not using cast iron today just because I think this will be easier to see. And I'm going to put a little oil in it. Just a very little bit. And in this case, I'm not using olive oil. I'm using just a little bit of a neutral oil. This is a safflower oil. Feel free to use the oil you like. But just any neutral tasting one. Could be vegetable oil, it could be avocado oil. I just wouldn't use like an extra virgin olive oil. Hey Merrick, hope you're doing well. So I think what we'll do is we'll let that pan heat up. And while we let that pan heat up, we'll at least start measuring for our biscuits. All right. So for these, I like to use white lily flour. White lily flour is not available all over the United States. It's available in the South. You can get it anywhere through Amazon, but it's stupidly expensive. This is a self-raising flour. I only keep this flour for biscuits. And actually the biscuit recipe is on the back of the container that I use. Just because it's pretty close to anything that you would get. So we're going to need 2 cups of white lily self-raising flour. So I've got a measuring cup in here. That's a half a cup. So I'll scoop it. It's not quite enough. There we go. That's 1. Trying to keep it in the bag. 2. 3. And 4. Need a little bit more. Get a little bit more, because if we didn't quite fill it. All right. There we are. That's 4. Now, since this is self-raising flour, we don't have to add salt and baking powder and possibly baking soda, because this is already mixed in. All right. One nice thing about using this particular flour is that it's a fairly low protein flour. So it's difficult to make tough biscuits with it. I mean, you can, but it's not as easy. I've got a little bit here on the counter. I always seem to spill the flour a little bit. All right. Now, to this, move my oil around in the pan a little bit. To this, we're going to add a little bit of shortening. And I have a little bit of shortening here. And we're going to add about 1. Sorry. I know that was loud. And about 2 tablespoons of it. All right. And I'm just sort of cutting it in with the spoon. I'm going to switch to a couple knives. Howdy, Zab. Hope you're doing well. All right. So let's, I guess, put this under the camera here, and we'll do that. This is not where I want this exactly. All right, that's better. All right. So I've got 2 knives here, and I'm just going to, cut through the flour, get the fat into the flour, turn it and do it some more. So you almost always, after doing this, have to rub it in a little bit. And so you're just going to take it and with the fat and just rub it in a little bit until it gets a little smaller. You don't want big pieces of shortening. You want it to be, a little clumpy, but not too much. Like you can do a clump, but then it falls apart. I will tell you, though, that when you do this, you get Britney dance moves. Well, I'm going to pull a trick here in a second. Oh, my pan is smoking. I should pull that off the heat. That is no bueno. Yeah, we'll just turn that off. Maybe I did that a little too soon. All right. Because I did put that shortening in there and rub that in. But I did something else earlier. Something I can't show you having me do is earlier I grated some butter, like with a cheese grater, and I stirred it together with a little flour and froze it. And so the butter will give you flavor, and it will give you a little bit of flakiness if you put it together correctly. So I'm going to take one of my knives here and just sort of stir it in. Now, for those of you keeping score, this is this is 5 tablespoons of fat, 2 tablespoons of shortening, and 3 tablespoons of grated butter. And then it's going to be 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk. And I mean, this, Yes, this recipe is off the bag, but it's very similar to any other biscuit recipe you're going to get. So I have some buttermilk in the refrigerator here. Should always shake your buttermilk. Thank you, Merrick, for your stream streak. I appreciate it. I appreciate your loyalty to my stream. All right, and that's ready. I forget how long these bake. Hopefully that's not enough. That's enough time to cook the sausage. All right. So buttermilk can be a little thick. Might be a little chunky sometimes. It's not really bad. It's just that it's an acidic environment because it's been cultured with a bacterium that generates lactic acid. All right, so we have our mix there, and we're not going to pour all of this in yet. We're going to pour about that much in. And my sausage gravy often doesn't come out totally white. Because I tend to make it in the pan that I cooked the sausage in, and so it gets colored by the fond that the sausage leaves. This is not going to be enough liquid. There are people that would try to make this enough liquid. I am not one of them. So we'll take a little bit more. It's going to take a little more. There's just too much dryness. There are people that would tell you that you're not supposed to stir these this much. Or, you know, I've seen people on the Food Network or other people, and they make biscuits that they basically just put just enough liquid in it to combine it, and they're trying to make some kind of, like, there's still flour here. There's a wet area. Maybe we could make that work. All right. All right, that looks pretty good. Let that sit for a minute. Set that there. And what I like to do, just because this can be a little bit of a mess, is put down a piece of aluminum foil. Because when you use the aluminum foil, you can just do your biscuits on top of that and throw it away. This recipe is easy, and I will type it up. All right. I guess I'll just use some of this. I brought out the other flour, but I'll use some of this to dust it. All right. You don't want to mix so much flour into it, but you do want enough that it doesn't stick. All right, so I'm going to turn all of this out here onto this bowl, or onto the surface. And I'm going to get a bench scraper and push it off. Go and push that off too. All right. So, I'm going to put a little bit on top. Pat it out a little bit. Guess that sort of gets it in the picture. All right. So what I'm going to do here, and I always do this when I have like a bunch of stuff on my hands. So I have a rolling pin somewhere. Oh, went to the wrong place. This is a little odd. This is a Teflon rolling pin. Hello, Abluita. I know I just butchered that, so I'm sorry. So you want to roll it out a little bit. Take the scraper, bring it up in the sides a little. Trying to get a little bit of a rectangle here. All right. And then we're going to take this and we're going to fold it. And we're going to fold it. And we're going to take it off the surface to make sure it's not sticking too badly. It did stick a little bit. We'll put a little flour down. Put that down this side. Put this down. Well, I do too. All right. Just a little. We're going to fold it and try to fold it again. Put a little on the top, flip it over, roll it again, flip it over once more, a little flour, and then roll it one more time. So, y'all are going to have to help me because I think that was 3 times. Let's do it one more. So we flip it over, and we flip it over. And you only do this. I don't always do this. I'm doing this in the hopes that I get some flakiness in them. I don't necessarily usually make a super flaky biscuit. All right. Move this over a little bit. That's about how thick you want it. Maybe a little more. Thank you, Jay Frost, for subscribing. I really love it. And thank you for getting me halfway to my subscriber goal. All right, so that's our little biscuit cutter. And here is a tray. And so I'm just gonna cut biscuits. We'll put these on the pan. And when I put them on the pan, I usually try to put them together. They seem to rise better if you put them together. Not on each other, but together. And I know you see people that make square biscuits. And you're not getting square biscuits here. All right, so I have this leftover dough. And so what I'm going to do is just sort of take it all together. Knead it a little bit. These won't be quite as good. But they'll be good. All right. So do one there, do one there, do one there. It'll be a little funny, but that'll be okay. Got to have one for jam too. And we'll put that one there, and that one there. And maybe we have enough here. I'm just going to pat that one out. That's what, 13? Yeah, 13. And then you always get a little dough left. I just always sort of make it into a little funny biscuit and stick it there. All right. So we got, what, 14 biscuits out of that. All right. We're going to dump that flour out because it's contaminated with dough. And we're going to... But classically what you would do is you would take that flour, if you had mixed it up yourself, and make the gravy with it. However, I want to use a different flour for my gravy. All right, so how long do these things bake? I can't remember. 8 to 10 minutes. All right. We should get this moving a little bit before we put those in. So those are just going to hang out there for a minute. Now, This is me sort of evangelizing a little bit. There is no chili pepper ever in sausage gravy. No cayenne, no habanero, no jalapeno, no poblano, just black pepper. Because I've gone places and they have put so much damn cayenne in it that all I could taste was that. And that is not sausage gravy. It's something else. Put a little more oil in my pan here. So I've got a pound of sausage. I'm probably not going to use all this. Usually I've used about half of it, and I've cut it into patties and then broken them up. But I think what I might do this time is just put them in the pan, like put it in the pan and break it up. All right. All right. So I guess the best way to do that probably is I need a little cutting board. And I need a knife. And so I'm just going to cut this in half. It looks like half. I'll take that and I'll use it later. And this, I'll do this with the knife. And then we're going to bring this over here. And turn this over here. And hopefully that will get... that gets the pan. All right. So I have a little oil in this pan. And it's heated up, so I'm going to put this meat in it. And I would use this if I was making this for more people. I would use the whole pound. But it's just for the two of us. And Nobleman, I like soft biscuits too, and normally I don't go to all that trouble and I just stir them up and do the dough out. All right. So I've got this tool. Let's just chop pieces of it off, get it started. You don't usually need to salt this. I do usually add some pepper. Some people like a little more sage in it. My dad always did. Okay. No, yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I sort of worked that a little more than I would normally to try to get them to have enough strength for that. Although I was always taught to split them with a fork and not a knife. And this smells really good. All right, so I'm going to leave that there in the pan for a few minutes to just simmer and try to brown it some. And I should do something with this. So I'll take a piece of aluminum foil. Just wrap it up. No, I know exactly what you mean. And I'll just put this in the freezer. And now I can do this later. And I'll put this over here. I'm going to get a little colander to drain the sausage in. And I'll drain it on a plate. And I can move this out of the way. I'll give it a little more heat. I should get the flour ready. Let me pepper this a little. So I'll take this little plastic bowl. Oh, this is starting to pop. That's good. Turn that down a little bit. So, you know, it's funny that you say that, Matthew J. I can remember going to a bear run years ago, and there was somebody who was so proud of their purchase at a grocery store of Crisco and rubber gloves. I will not comment further. All right, that's about a half a cup of flour. To that, all right, before I continue with that, I'm going to take the sausage because it's about to the point I want it. And I'm going to pour it off into this little doodad here. Grease and all. Alright. There's a little grease left in there. Let me wipe the edge so it doesn't run down and hit the burner. I've turned the burner off. I'm just going to set the pan there. And I'm going to set this to the side for a few minutes. And I'm going to put these biscuits in the oven for about 10 minutes. Because that's a screaming hot oven. All right. So, for gravy. All right. I'm going to say about that much salt. That much pepper. We'll stir this around. And there you go, you've just made some seasoned flour. And the reason we made seasoned flour, put this back on the heat here, is because we want it. It's what you need to use for the gravy. So I'm pouring the oil back in because we need some fat. And I don't understand the use in the use in using butter if I already have this fat. And if it's not enough, I've got some bacon fat. Hey, Edsky, how are you? All right, so we've put that fat in the pan. Let's put it on lower heat. That's probably about it might need a little more. Let's add a little more. All right. I think that'll be about enough. Have that melt. All right. Before I start this process, I'm going to get the milk. Because what you make this with is milk. I have a little bit of whole milk, and I have another thing of the 1% milk we buy. All right. So we're going to sprinkle this flour. So it's sort of a formula. It's sort of a formula to this, okay? You're making a roux and making a milk sauce. The same way you would for macaroni and cheese if you were making it from scratch. We're just obviously not adding cheese. So you want to use about an even amount of flour to the fat you have in the pan. I'd say it looks like about 2 tablespoons. So we're going to go with roughly 2 tablespoons of flour, and you just sort of sprinkle it in. Maybe a little more. And then you sort of stir it around in the pan. Get it in the fat. Dissolve it in the fat. It should sort of bubble a little bit. See how it kind of bubbles up a little bit? You really just want to cook it until it, you're not trying to get a lot of color on it. You're just trying to cook it until it starts to, you're just cooking it for a little bit to get the flour taste out of it. And so then you're going to add a little bit of liquid, stir it around, and you need some more. And you're going to I'm going to switch to a whisk. All right, I'm going to need a little more milk. All right. On what? What's happening?
We lost internet upload. We're still recording though.
Okay.
I was just saying, keep going. Alright, get reconnected.
Okay.
Still dropping frames.
Close the stuff on my computer. It could just be the internet.
It looks like it's back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the internet.
Okay.
You're not dropping frames anymore.
All right.
We're back.
So you just kind of want to add liquid slowly to it. Stir it all around. Try to break up any lumps. I may not have had enough fat in here because it's not breaking up like it should. Oh, did I get rated? Oh, Go Big Truck is rating. Thank you so much, Go Big Truck. I'm in the middle of making biscuits and gravy, so I can't look at the screen too much. All right, now is when you would add more milk. And turn the heat up. damn it. Get another one. I don't see the lumps anymore. Maybe a few. You know, if you think you have lumps, there is an easy way to get it. All right, those biscuits are done. Let's get... Turn the oven off. Let's get a couple of towels. We've got to have somewhere to land those biscuits. So what I like to do is land them right in a basket. All right. So we've got a basket there. I need one of these and one of these. I need to stir that. It needs to simmer a little more. I may have over liquided it. All right. So there we have our biscuits. All right, let's put these biscuits into this basket so they don't burn on the bottom. Put those there. All right. So this is about right. It's got a little thickness. It'll thicken as you cool. I need to taste it. All right, so it needs some salt. And it needs some pepper. I guess I didn't season the flour enough. Covers the back of a spoon. That's better. It'll get better when I add this in too. So we're going to add that back in. Put that there. And sort of mix this together. I may have some lumps in this gravy. Lumps in gravy aren't the worst thing in the world. I'm going to give it another pinch of salt and some more pepper. Because pepper and salt are really doing this sauce. But in my opinion, it's all it really needs. All right, so I'll take that off the heat and we'll get a bowl. Let me put the milk away. Here, let me take this, put it there for a minute. I take this and move that out of the way. All right, so we're gonna pour this into a bowl. Okay. Just run some water in that pan because that will turn basically into paste. I'm looking for a little ladle I have. There it is. So we've got our gravy made from scratch. And we've got biscuits. And I will do this so you can see me plate it up. As you heard me say, got some nice layer on that biscuit. It's not a whole very thick one. I learned to do it with a fork. So we'll do that there. Take some gravy. Spoon it over those. And give it a grind of pepper. And that, my friends, is biscuits and gravy. Helps if I hold it in the camera. So we need to raid out because we're going to eat this. This is one of the shortest streams I've probably ever done. But I do love you all. Thank you for coming in. It means the most to me that I can get y'all to come in and watch me make something like this. It's really not that hard and didn't take that much time. I probably made it take more time than it needed to take. Let's find someone to raid out to. Anybody I know? No. I think we'll go to... I'm just looking for someone to raid out to. We'll raid out to Hi Juno 1. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I'll post this on a video to YouTube and with the recipe. Be sure you eat something good. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. I love you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.